YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here. And we're going to be doing a faction focus today on Rome. It's a little bit out of order, alphabetically. I haven't gotten to these other factions yet. That's weird. It opened up like straight down, which it's not supposed to, and it didn't a minute ago. So yeah, I have gotten to a couple of them. I haven't showed you Odrysian Kingdom yet. I have a fun battle out there for them. I have Parthia and Derpamon and Pontus to go as well. And anyway, like I said, I have a special guest with me since Rome is kind of a special faction. So I have Mrs. Heir with me here. So why don't you say hello to YouTube?
Hey YouTube, this is Mrs. Heir.
Yes, and she's a little nervous thinking that she won't be able to act quite as stupid as me off the cuff, which is quite possible. It's a talent that I carry, being able to act pretty moronic on the spot. So I was wondering if you could maybe tell them what it is that you do every day.
Well, according to Heir, I spend my days training little Heir how to horsewhip peasants.
That's correct. Good answer. And also she's helping him to get ready to go to Madame Payne's School for Little Tykes, who are gifted with Sarissa. So we're planning to train him in that art as well. So, and also she's helping him to understand the meaning and purpose of Javelin Day. So
Indeed.
Okay. All right. So let's kick off. So I had a question last time from some people who swore that Praetorian Guard beats Oathsworn head on, and I do not have another human opponent to test this against. I do have the battle setting on normal, and we can only hope that the moronic AI is capable of actually charging into my unit, which is asking a lot of them. So we'll see. But we're gonna test, and we're gonna let Mrs. Heir make the predictions on who's gonna win this. So what do you think? Men in purple capes. Does that strike you as a fearsome and ferocious unit?
They look pretty deadly, and I like the color purple, so I think they're gonna trounce them.
You don't think that the cape is a little girly?
No, well, no.
Why do you think they're hopping up and down? My guess is constipation.
Probably.
All right, so you see what she has to put up with all day? Anyway, we're going to move forward and test it out, do some fast forwarding. I was thinking about having her play a battle, so maybe if you want to see Mrs. Heir play a battle, let me know. She is highly skilled in the art of Total War. So why don't you tell the folks about all your experience with Total War? Like, how many games have you played?
Oh, 0.
All right, precisely 0. Which means you're undefeated, actually.
Yeah.
Yep, so see, there you go. Mrs. Heir is undefeated. All right, so we're going to test out here Praetorian Guard versus Oathsworn in a head-on charge. And again, hopefully the computer is smart enough to charge me back. They are. That's good. I'm going to trade javelins. And they're going to come into combat. I am in formation attack, which is actually what the comment on my channel wanted me to try. And of course, the AI is not going to spread out and wrap around my flanks. But as you can see, we'll take a look at the numbers here. The Oathsworn won the charge convincingly. I'll have to show Mrs. Heir. So this is the number of Oathsworn left. And then this down here is the number of Praetorian Guard. So who do you think is going to win this? Oathsworn or Praetorian Guard?
Wait, what color is Oathsworn?
The Oathsworn are like the pukish green guys there.
Oh, okay. Wait, so 109, what does that mean?
So that means there's 107 out of 120 left, and there's only 95 of the Praetorian Guard left.
Well, then obviously the Oathsworn. So I predicted wrong. The purple guys are a little too flamboyant.
And I don't know if you all can hear him, but little Heir is coming off the monitor in the background, apparently voicing his concern that the Praetorian Guard may not make it either. Anyway, we'll kind of watch the fighting here close up. But, I mean, if you all didn't notice close on, because I didn't do a particularly good job of zooming in, but the Praetorian Guard lost the charge badly. And as the fight grinds on, though, they are doing a little better. And I'm pretty sure the AI dropped their headhunt ability out there. And so, in this particular case, the Praetorian Guard might actually come back and tank this out. But this is not a proper test of Oathsworn versus Praetorian Guard. And the reason I say that is because normally a player is going to spread a little thinner, and they're going to be more careful about how they use that headhunt ability, and they're going to try and wrap around you. So it definitely makes it a little bit tougher. So we'll just kind of see what happens here. And again, this is versus the AI, so it's not conclusive. Though I would tell you, in general, in an online battle, Oathsworn versus Praetorian Guard would go to the Oathsworn any time that they get a good, solid charge. Now, of course, if the Praetorian Guard avoids the charge, they are a very capable unit, But again, just helping you all understand that the reason why they're not seen too often in online battles is because they're not particularly cost effective. And also probably because their color coordination is a little bit off. So I don't know. What do you think, Mrs. Heir? Who's going to take it here? It's pretty close.
The purple guys look like, well, there looks like there's more purple guys, but the numbers said that there's not. They said that there's like 50-something left.
Yeah, there's 40 of them, and there's
They're
only
all
27
moving too fast
Oathsworn.
to tell what's going on. They look like they're hopped up on coffee.
Well, they're probably hopped up on forest mushrooms, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And if Patchy's their commander, he certainly didn't feed them a hearty breakfast before the battle. He probably just horsewhipped them and told them to get to it, right? Okay. Alright, so it is actually a really close fight. And then the headhunt comes back for the Oathsworn. Oh, this one's going to be close.
Wait. The Oathsworn aren't going to win, are they?
I don't know. It's not over yet. Oh, they're wavering. Okay, so it looks like the purple guys just barely won.
Wait,
but again,
so I was right.
well, I guess you were right. But this is actually not a very good test. We should actually show it the other way around. So how about that? If we're fair, we'll try it from both ways, right? So maybe we should be the green pukish guys this time. What do you think?
Yeah.
So they're called Oathsworn. What do you think the oath that they're sworn to is? Like being gentlemen, or are they sworn to the oath of the ancient fart club? Like what do you think?
Probably an oath to serve Patchy.
That's a good answer. I accept that.
Or else they will have lashings for life.
All right, you two, what's your guess? What are the oaths sworn to? And I'm sure some of you will probably actually give me like a proper historical answer here, even though I'm actually looking for something goofy. But that's okay. I'll accept that. So here we go. How about this time if I'm the oath sworn, and I spread them out and actually kind of surround the edges of the Romans, and I think that it would give a little bit better showing of what typically happens in a battle. So I will spread out thinner than what the computer is going to be. What do you think? You think it's going to change the scenario? This is Heir.
I don't really know what to do different.
So my guys this time are going to be in a wider formation.
Why are they walking like they got brooms up their rears?
They probably do. It's punishment. Or maybe that's the oath they're sworn to.
Maybe so.
They have to sit on a broomstick every morning.
Okay, so what did you do different? Sorry.
They're spread wider.
Oh.
So they're going to wrap around the sides of the Roman.
Oh, well then it'll probably have a different...
They'll kind of wrap around like this when they attack him. What do you think?
I think they have a better chance.
I should probably charge.
General is under attack.
Yeah, I didn't get my javelins thrown.
Because then
So.
they can get the people from the back row too.
Yep, see? So they're going to wrap around, and let's see what happens.
See, I know a little bit.
We need the Roman general to stay away, but he's not. So this may not be a conclusive test either, and I didn't get to throw my javelins, and of course the Roman general walks right up here like an idiot.
Why, you don't want him to die or something?
Well, we don't want him to interfere with these two. It's just really hard. But I think that you're already seeing a conclusive result here. I didn't even get the javelins thrown, and the Praetorian Guard are losing badly.
Mm-hmm.
Quite badly. And I haven't used any of my special abilities. So I think this better demonstrates what it is that people were saying that Oathsworn beats Praetorian Guard. Because almost all the time the barbarians are going to be running in a wider formation, so that is a convincing victory, and we still have javelins left to kill the pompous Roman general. So
your plan did work?
Yes. So I think this is what we were attempting to test. All right. So let's talk about the rest of Rome's faction, because we are going to focus in on Rome this time. And obviously Rome is a melee-heavy faction, melee infantry-heavy. So, Mrs. Heir, why don't you tell us what you know about Rome?
About Rome?
Yeah, about Rome. What's their strength in this game? And all your experience of 0 victories.
Well, from my professional opinion, Rome has really cool historical sites. So they've got that going for them.
All right, so they're going to beat down their opponent with culture then?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. I see where you're going on that one. All right, so let's talk through their units. They have a ton of melee infantry. If you just had to pick one, just based on the way it looks, which infantry do you think is the coolest?
Can I click it?
Yes.
This dude looks pretty wicked right here.
Okay, so she likes probably one of the worst units in their lineup.
Oh,
so that's,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding. They're cool looking, though, right? Okay, so...
Wait, so what does this number mean?
Well, that tells you how much they cost to bring into battle.
Oh.
So, and this is how much you have to spend right up here where it says
Well, then why are they
10,940.
so expensive if they suck?
Well, that's a good question. Many people would probably like to have you ask that of the Creative Assembly who made the game.
Oh. I don't want to tick anybody off, but I am a bargain shopper.
Okay, so Mrs. Heir is a bargain shopper, so she would probably like the Hastati. So let's start with them. The Hastati are actually a great bargain, a cheap unit that provides some pretty solid stats, and they act as what I like to call a meat shield. So do you know what a meat shield is?
I've heard you talk a lot about meat shields.
Does the name kind of self-imply what it means?
Well, I'm assuming they're just there to, take the arrows for you.
Yes, so a meat shield is there to be exactly that. You see, whenever the battle's about to get going, there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering for those who enter it first, and the Hastati get the privilege of filling that role. So they don't cost too much, so their pathetic lives when they get thrown away don't have a big impact on you economically, though their families no doubt appreciate you treating them that way.
Kind of like your peasants in your video that you made.
Exactly. So the Hastati are a great meat shield unit for Rome. They got nice solid strength. They did get nerfed a little. Well, I think actually they just got a price increase in the last patch. But a fantastic unit overall for the price. You really can't go wrong. They're going to lose to Celtic Warriors and a couple of the other faction meat shield units, but they're still a solid unit. They can absorb quite a bit of missile fire. They have nice javelins, though their javelin range isn't as good as, say, like a Lusitani unit, but still a fantastic unit. There are these Saki Hastati here, and it's not Sucky Hastati, it's Soki Hastati or Soshi Hastati, however you pronounce it. I don't know because I don't know Latin. Not a good pick per se, but if you're looking just for another unit to diversify your army for in campaign, you can go for it. Their stats don't really justify their cost when stacked up against the Hastati. Then we have gladiators and gladiatresses. So how does it make you feel as a woman to know that we have female gladiators in the game?
Are they really?
Yeah. Who do you think's better, though, the female gladiators or the male gladiators?
Well, clearly the females. They cost more.
Yeah, they do cost more. Does that mean they're high maintenance? She's considering whether or not to make me sleep on the couch right now.
I think the women back then were probably a lot more fierce.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. And I don't know if she's heard me say it before, but Patchy usually inspires the women in his army by telling them chauvinistic jokes and all kinds of other mean things before the battle, so that they get into like a bloodlust, basically, for men.
That sounds like you.
Yeah. Anyway, so gladiators versus gladiatresses, both of them can be interesting units. They can get a lot of kills. You don't want to get them charged, and you certainly don't want to get them shot with missiles or with cavalry. Especially the male gladiators. They prefer to have no armor because apparently for them a loincloth is sufficient, as long as they have a small covering over their nether areas. I guess they feel safe enough to charge into battle.
Okay with not reproducing.
That's correct. So
hang on, I got a question.
Sure.
So this little thing over here with all the green.
She's pointing
numbers?
to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of like a Mario Kart where you decide which cart you want to use.
Yes, it is kind of like Mario Kart. These are the statistics, though. For these guys, you're not going to see speed, acceleration, and traction over here. Though I guess if the gladiators were a cart, my best guess is that they would be... Oh man, that's a good question.
They'd be the coupe.
They're kind of light, because there's only like 90 of them. Maybe they would be... Man, I don't know, a good comparison. They'd probably be like one of the little Bowser children, you know? They're not exactly nice guys. I don't know. I have no idea how to compare Total War to Mario Kart. So, gladiators have a higher attack, so they are chauvinistic in the sense that they have a better attack than the female gladiators. However, the female gladiators come with more armor, and they also have better base morale. So apparently all of Patchy's taunting of them gets them really fired up, and they're not going to turn away from battle quite as easily. And they also have frenzy, which I guess also comes as a result of the jokes. It's a special ability where they get particularly angry during a charge and can cause extra damage. So handy for that. So between gladiators and gladiatresses, that's really the biggest difference, is you get frenzy with some extra armor. And that's obviously, as you can see me mousing back and forth, kind of the main differences. And we'll hurry up and go through the rest of these because I've been sitting here clowning around. All of the Roman infantry is very similar. They're going to have high melee attack, very good armor, health, decent base morale. They're not going to have any special abilities like shield wall or anything else, though they all come with testudo, which is the Latin word for turtle. Yes.
Attacking turtle?
Yes, attacking turtle.
Very
so it's because they go into a tight formation and they're more protected from missiles. Yes. Handy, huh?
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, you have legionaries, principes, legionary cohort. All of these are kind of your base level units. And some of you sometimes hear me say pre-Marian versus post-Marian Rome. Pre-Marian is going to be your Hastati, Principes, Principes, I guess what you call them, your Triari. You're going to have Velites, all these other units. But I guess that's not the point of our discussion. So these are kind of your baseline Roman units, these three. All of them are very similar. I'll let you kind of look through the stats here. Principes are my favorite because they come with extra melee defense, though their armor is less. And if you look here, the legionary cohort comes with 90 armor, which is very nice, but at a reduced melee defense. So basically you're just trading a little bit of armor and everything. Mrs. Heir is going to have to go check up on Little Heir because he's still blabbering. Sucky Extraordinari are kind of like a Samnite warrior, except I don't know really which one's better or not. They're just high armor and kind of low attack. They're not a particularly useful unit in multiplayer right now, though they are a fun unit to kind of throw into your arsenal in the campaign because you can recruit them from the auxiliary barracks early on. You've got your higher tier, but Rome really offers you a ton of mid-tier swords, and you've got your higher tier ones here. They're not exactly elite, but they have basically elite stats, and that's really Rome's main strength as a faction. So you got veteran legionaries, which boast a 59 attack. Avocati at 61. First cohort has an inspire aura, so they inspire other men, but their attack is really pathetic, and so I don't recommend them as a unit really. And then you have armored legionaries, which come with a nice balance of attack and extra armor, all the way up to 95 armor. So these guys are very tanky in the woods and when they're not charged. And then you have Eagle cohort, which I guess is kind of like the New Age version of your first cohort. But again, I don't necessarily recommend these guys, though they do come with a little bit better armor than the first cohort. So that's kind of your higher mid-tier swords. These guys really should form the backbone of your Roman army, and you'll know when to choose them based on your different circumstances. So if you have access to, like, maybe say you're playing with rules that limit the number of swords, then you might go ahead and go with Avocati cohort. They're slightly higher cost, slightly better attack. If you're playing on one where you want to bring more units, you may make your backbone out of veteran legionaries because they have a little bit lower cost and nearly all the attack. Armored legionaries would be a good choice for a forested map where cavalry charges are going and and infantry charges are going to be slowed down because these guys will be super tanky in that situation. Or sometimes if you want, you can just go with a huge number, if you don't have rules prohibiting it, of the lower mid-tier swords of the Romans and basically just overwhelm your opponent with pretty darn good infantry. And then you do have two elite units. You got Praetorians and Praetorian Guard, which you have seen. I don't recommend using these guys in multiplayer. It can be done, but it's going to be a rare occasion when it pays off, and again, you'll need to be careful about when you choose that, because if these guys get charged by a mid-tier sword from a barbarian faction, they're going to take way more losses than it's worth your while to have. So that's pretty much it, and Mrs. Heir said she completely agrees with that assessment, I guess.
Yes, I agree with that.
So in your 0 battles with Rome, how many times have you won?
Well, 0.
Excellent.
But I am,
feeling close though, right?
undefeated though.
Okay.
Like you said.
All right, so spear infantry, we got vigiles, auxiliary infantry, gladiator spearmen, of course spear gladiatresses, because we can't have the men taking all the glory, and then triari. So as far as offerings go, vigiles are pretty worthless. They're not even really a particularly good meat shield because they don't come with javelins. Same thing with auxiliary infantry, slightly better stats, and some people really believe in these guys, but I don't. I think they're trash. If you want to use them, you can, and I won't stop you, obviously, but for 400 talents, I just don't see where you're going to get your bang for the buck on these guys. Now, gladiator spearmen and spear gladiatresses, both are very capable at killing cavalry. They have very high attack stats, I guess due to their Colosseum rage, and so they are ready to take on cavalry. But, again, neither one of these units likes being charged by cavalry because they come in loose formation and they are few in number. Though the spear gladiatresses, once again, are smarter to come to combat with a little more armor on. They have slightly less attack, but as you can see, they have actually a little less health as well, so apparently these women don't get fed as well. But they, again, have better morale and more armor, so that's going to be your difference. Triari are some fantastic spearmen. They really are quite tanky, 95 armor. These guys can really hold out, and they have a square formation. Their main drawbacks is that they don't come with precursor javelins, and obviously they don't have like a hoplite phalanx since they weren't hoplites, though I guess they were probably similar in the idea. So good spear units, but you probably wouldn't want to use these guys unless you knew you were coming up against a ton of cavalry. And even then it's tricky, again, because they don't have the precursor javelin, so you may want to support them with javelin units. All right, I'm going to hurry and move through this so we can get to the replay, and I'll let Mrs. Heir help me cast it. So, levies, good, cheap javelins. They are so cheap that even though their attack is crappy, they can be handy because you don't have to have much money left over to throw them in your army. Velites give you a little more javelin damage and slightly better survivability, but I mean only slightly. They are not very much better for quite a lot more cost. Auxiliary Syrian archers, of course, are a great option for Rome. These guys have very nice armor and health, so they are pretty survivable. They do not have 40 missile damage like some other archers, but a great choice, and they have precision shot, which is a great way to inflict extra damage, especially if you're close enough to, say, an enemy Oathsworn, and you switch over to heavy shot, hit precision shot. You can do a lot of damage to an enemy Oathsworn. Balearic Slingers are going to be your option that comes with more ammo. They're not going to do as much damage as the Syrian archers as quickly, but they're going to have more ammo, not ammer. Yes, ammo. And anyway, they have more ammo, more shots per minute, and they're going to be able to deal more armor-piercing damage in the end, which is 8, so it's better than the bows. Shock Cavalry, Soci Equitae... Man, I can't pronounce tonight. Soci Equites Extraordinari. These guys are very heavy shot cavalry, which for the price, getting a very heavy shot cavalry is great. Their statistics are not fantastic, but again, that mass really helps them deliver some pretty punishing charges. And if they get rear charges or frontal charges into unbraced units, they can be quite deadly. But like all cavalry, you have to be careful of getting javelined in the face by cheap levy freemen, which run in abundance on the field. Did I tell you the other name for levy freemen, Mrs. Heir?
Morgan Freeman?
Yes! Maximus, if you hear that, no doubt you'll be in tears to know that my wife now knows to call Levy Freeman Morgan Freeman. He would have also accepted MLG Freeman, by the way.
Right.
Okay, so we have Equites, Legionary Cav, Soci Equites, Auxiliary Cav, and Praetorian Cav on the melee end. Rome's melee cav is pretty subpar, but hey, you need to give them some type of weakness after having such fantastic infantry and decent skirmishers, and of course we're getting to the elephants. What their cavalry does lack in extra power, they do make up for in being cheap. Equites have decent stats. Mainly it's the armor on the Roman cav that makes them fairly sturdy, even at their low price. They're just not going to do a lot of damage because of their attack stats. Legionary cav has essentially the same stats as the Equites. They're just going to get a small boost to health and morale. And yeah, that's about it. And then you have the Soci Equites, which these guys are handy because they come with better attack at still a decent price, and they're going to be able to be a little more offensive for you against enemy cav and help provide a little better backbone without having to go all the way up to the 800 talent level for auxiliary cav. An auxiliary cav is quite good, but for the price, they're really not fantastic. But it does give you the option if you want to pay a little more to get a stronger cav. Praetorian cav are kind of like Ozit Knights. You're pretty much never going to find a good use for these guys in multiplayer, though in campaign they're a fun option. They just cost too much for you to really be able to get that much bang for the buck out of them. Auxiliary Numidian cav give Rome a nice missile skirmisher cav option. They have elite javelin damage, quite good against elephants and harassing enemy cav. Then you're going to have the auxiliary elephants, which can be a great tool against barbarian sword rushes, though again, be careful of the MLG Morgan Freeman that are running around the battlefield. What, you find something funny about that? Do you know another name that he gave to the Levy Freeman? It was the Martin Luther Freeman. Yeah. Okay, there you go. So, war dogs. Again, I've used them with the Iceni, and you saw not too long ago to run off some horse archers. They do cost more than horse archers, though, so be careful of this, but really the only purpose for war dogs is if you think you can get them into a blob of skirmishers without them being intercepted by heavy infantry or heavy cav. That's pretty much it for the Roman units, so let's jump into the replay. And in this replay, I'm going to get matched up against the Boii, and Mrs. Heir probably doesn't know who the Boii are. No. So right now, the Boii are kind of the kings of Rome, too. They're probably the strongest faction. And Rome is capable of taking them on, but what do you think? Who's going to win this? Do you have faith in your husband, or are you going to go with the green guys?
Yeah, I'm going to go with you on this one.
Oh, look at that. Loyalty. Either that or she's just trying to make me feel good.
No.
Because most of the time when I play online, it goes so poorly that I end up crying on the couch next to her, and
He does.
she has to comfort me for a while. I'm
It's
just
a full-time job.
Sometimes I go curl up in the crib next to little Heir when it gets really bad. So, no, in any case, I'm going to face off against the Boii, and so...
I can't tell what's what.
Okay. What are you having a hard time understanding?
Well, Oh, is this all your people?
Yeah, so all my guys are in the red with the yellow outline on their flag.
Okay.
So that's my army.
Oh, I see the green flag.
Yep, she now sees the green flag. So clearly scouting probably is something that she would want to work on before that first battle.
Yeah.
Recognizing the enemy would be a first step.
Well, these guys just look like a bunch of peasants. They don't have any...
They're not as cool as the Romans. Do you hear that, Boei fans? Mrs. Heir just said that your faction is a bunch of peasants.
I mean, no offense, but that dude looks like he's... Ooh,
Don't you like
clothes.
the snazzy trousers, though? Like the colors and everything?
No.
No.
They look like jesters or something.
They look like court jesters. Alright, so let me break down the tactical situation a little bit. This map is kind of weird. It puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage at first because I either have to rush up this hill and then fight uphill, which you definitely don't want to do against the Boei, or you have to fight in this very awkward position back here where it's still not very good. But the nice thing is and I'll teach this to Mrs. Heir, anytime you mouse over and you see the little forest icon next to the mouse, and then it says movement speed 70%. So the Boei rely on fierce charges. They like to come, constipated and screaming into battle, and that way, they unleash on you right away. And the forest slows them down, because they're getting slapped in the face by twigs and all the other stuff. So, yeah, it slows down their charge. And this actually makes the Roman units a little better because their advantage is they have all that slick armor and shields and stuff, right?
Okay, but the people are in the other direction, though.
Yes, but I'm just trying to get in position. See, the little yellow dots are where I'm walking to.
Are you trying to, circle around them or something?
Well, I just feel like this forest is a good place for some of my men to be so that the angry barbarians get slowed down in charging me.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, but generally walking with your side turned to the enemy is not a good idea, so that's a good call out. That's Mrs. Heir's advice number 1. Don't turn your side to the enemy.
That's right.
Okay. Alright, so I'm moving into the forest, and I'm going to try and at least have some of my army in the forest so that I can have a chance. I brought some Syrian archers, and my hope here is to shoot the enemy Oathsworn and kill the general. What do you think?
Sounds like a good plan.
Assassinating the enemy general is the way to go?
Yeah, because people follow the general, right?
Yes. In general, they follow the general into general combat.
Yes.
Can you explain to them what you were just doing that didn't show up on the microphone? Were you giving me a stinky eye look?
Yeah.
I
do that a lot.
I guess I should have turned on a webcam so you could have seen the stink eye. But then I don't want you to see my stinky face either, and so, that's... I don't want to be the... well, no, I won't get into that because then some YouTube people might get offended. Some of you all have asked me to do a webcam whenever I do a battle, and it's like, I don't know why in the world you want to look at my face while I'm doing a battle. It's just like, really? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you enjoy that kind of thing, but it's just
the sheer terror.
Yeah, I guess. But it's like, I don't know why in the world you want to look at me. I would think that you probably would want to be nauseous while watching the battle, or just be like, what is this southern clown doing while commentating? Because I'd just be staring at a screen, so it just seems weird to me. I know some people do it, and I guess I get the point, but I'm not all that into it. So anyway, yeah, moving up my Syrian archers, I want to try and trade some fire with the Celtic bowmen. These peasants, as Mrs. Heir called them, do not have as good a range with their bows, so you can see that I'm sending them a small gift from Patchy, which is a long-range bow shot. This guy here is enjoying his so much that he had to stop and take a nap. And don't worry, Mrs. Heir, that's not blood, it's just raspberry jam there on the ground, so yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
It's not a violent game.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so the Boei are going to try and come after me now. They're not real pleased with me shooting at them. And so my guys here, I'm feeling pretty good because they're in the woods, but I'm not feeling so good over here. You see this this unit that's kind of turning invisible? Oh, yep, they did turn invisible.
How did that happen?
It's because my men can't see them. There's a hill in the way.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Anyway, they're trying to move around me. You see these green guys that called Heavy Horse? They're way better than my legionary cav, and so I'm not really thrilled about having to try and fight them. But look, the meat shields, honey. See what they're doing?
Good.
Yeah.
They're being meat shields.
Yep, so they stop the charge of these guys, and then my Roman guys move in behind them. You see that?
That's so good.
That's the life of a meat shield, and this is the results of being a meat shield.
That is depressing.
So my meat shields were effective actually in a couple of different spots. So these veteran legionaries, although outnumbered, are going to get a very nice engagement versus these two sword followers. They may not win, but they're going to do a lot of damage because the sword followers didn't get any charge whatsoever. And then over here it's the same thing. I've got veteran legionaries ganging up. The sword followers are going to go into shield wall. And can you tell me, in your own opinion, Mrs. Heir, does it look like they're in any type of formation that you would call shield wall? Do you see any coherent wall there?
No.
Do they look any different than my own men?
No.
Okay, so there you go. Independently verified that shield wall does not look like a shield wall. So my archers are trading fire with some of the Celtic bowmen, and the Celtic bowmen are actually going to target my legatus here and try and kill my general. So they have the same idea that I do. The Boii player is being very smart and keeping his general back here in the woods so that my archers can't reach him. And over here on this flank, my meat shields are dying, and then he's going to use his heavy horse here for some cavalry charges. You can see some of the men getting flattened because of it. So yes, heavy horse, a huge threat to Rome. My own cavalry is not as good, and you can see that they are going to cause damage even to these, decently armored and strong sword units. So heavy horse here already racking up some kills against my legionary cohort. And my archers are, of course, at a huge risk, so I did keep one cavalry unit back here in the back to potentially intercept heavy horse, which is now being threatened by some MLG Morgan Freemen. Here they come. These are the Levy Freemen, honey. What do you think? Shirtless into battle, brave, or just stupid?
I'd say that's just flat out stupid.
And they're going to get intercepted by some of my men. So, but yes, getting my cavalry charged by the MLG Freemen would be very bad. And I'm trying to keep my archers safe, but you see how the green guys are getting pretty close to him, huh?
Yeah, so how do you keep up with everything?
That's a good question. I don't do that very well. So in the gaming world, it's called micromanagement, which means trying to micromanage all the little situations on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for you, your husband's not very good at it.
I'm pretty sure I'd be awful at it.
And see here that his MLG Freemen are chasing my legionary cav.
Yeah.
So that's not good, so I'm going to keep running away, and I'm trying to chase them down, but these guys are pretty quick and determined. But as you can see, overall, the battle is pretty close, but my veteran legionaries here punched through because the sword followers didn't get a charge, and now I'm going to get rear charges into his sword followers. So this little blob over here is now going to turn in my favor. When this turns red, that means that the enemies are not real happy, or for your own men, but see, he's going to charge me with his own horsemen in the back there too, so potentially useful. Gonna knock a lot of my guys down, but this little blinking flag means that they're about to rout. So fortunately for me, it's going pretty well. There's a lot of sword followers left over here, but I've got units starting to get left over, and so at the moment, the forest and the meat shielding from the Hastati has kind of saved me. And the enemy Oathsworn is now moving up closer to the fight. I do think it was smart of my opponent to kind of hold his best unit in reserve. The Celtic bowmen, though, were a weird choice. I kind of just expected a full-on Boii sword rush, and trading these guys for extra Levy Freemen, as you can see, would probably have been more dangerous to me than anything else, because he could have been peeling straight through these gaps and getting behind my men and chasing off my archers and all kinds of stuff. So definitely a potential use for him, because in this grind-out fight, my Roman units are going to do very good. And keeping these archers alive right now is pretty critical, which is why it's smart that I gave them an attack order and actually moved them into a fight. Now I'm going to have to move them back.
How long do these things last?
So apparently Mrs. Heir is already bored to tears.
No, I just mean, how can you tell, like, when it's over?
Whenever all the enemy units are gone. So right now I still have units left, and so does he. So I've got to kill all the green ones if I want to win.
So what do you mean by rout? Like retreat or something?
Yeah, routing, running away. So see, these guys are routing, but as long as the picture of their flag's still there, they can potentially come back. When it disappears, they're gone for good. So this is a pretty key moment for me. I get the enemy Oathsworn engaged, and it's going to win, but I get its back turned to my Syrian archers, and you can see that there's some arrow fire starting to come into the back of the enemy Oathsworn. And getting shot in the spine with an arrow typically leads to a bad day. I don't know, what do you think?
I'd be pretty mad.
Do you think that the arrows are more effective, or would the 12 gauge be more effective here?
12 gauge.
What about a 12 gauge stuffed full of arrows? And the arrows were dipped in feces.
That's disgusting. But I'm not surprised that you would say that.
Okay, so the enemy Oathsworn's now getting outnumbered, so this fight has swung into my favor. And yeah, at this point, it's definitely looking good for Rome. So the main reason why I wanted to show you this battle isn't because I particularly had a bunch of skill in it or anything. Really, the terrain helped to save me. And I'm trying to show it to you as an example of how you can potentially use Rome to counter the Arverni or the Boii or Tylus or the others. you're going to want to choose a map that has plenty of terrain and forest, because all of those things are going to make it way more difficult for the barbarians to get a good charge. So taking Rome against the Boii and the Medicina is not a very good idea. And taking Rome against them on a map like this where there's more terrain is going to be a much better idea. I do think in this particular case that the Celtic bowmen were probably not the best choice for the Boii. I do like the idea, but using Celtic bowmen is going to be difficult since the Romans have access to Balearic slingers and Syrian archers, so I think that just a straight up melee rush would have been a little more effective here, because it would have been really hard for me to protect my archers, as it was already difficult. But at this point, yeah, the Oathsworn are getting shot up, and we'll let Mrs. Heir see this up close. That looks like a shield wall too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just kidding. So it looks like the Oathsworn may be trying to disengage. I'm not sure what they're doing here, but it may be trying to get another charge here into my men. Then I'm going to bring my general over, and I think that I'm going to use the loyalty of the 10th here to make sure that my men are not capable of being routed. I tried to save it until the late game. I don't think I need it at this point, but I have it, I think, as a reserve, or maybe I already used it. I can't remember. But in any case, yeah, I have cavalry left, so it's definitely over for the Boii at this point. I have the maneuverability, I've got some skirmishers, I've got a lot of infantry left. I did forget about this cavalry unit out here, so they get to take a break and just enjoy nature. Well, I guess I just now remembered them. But in any case, this is going to be a victory for Rome. So I'll go ahead and fast forward. So the things that went right here for me, again, the terrain. My unit choice, I think, was decent to go against the Boii. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. That's fine. Legionary Cav may have been better to have Soki Equites, but in my mind, you're going to lose that cavalry fight anyway with heavy horse. So don't spend too much money to lose a fight. I had enough Hastati to do some meat shielding, but really focused on bringing a lot of the heavier infantry. And then having these two archers gives me the ability to threaten an Oathsworn, and as you can see, that made the Oathsworn not join the fight until late. And although we had a lot of sword followers and they're capable units, they just weren't able to overcome the odds. So in this case, Rome, it's kind of counterintuitive. A set-piece battle on an open map does not go well for Rome versus barbarians. You really want to get into the woods. So I've gotten Mrs. Heir bored to death, and I'm sure she's had enough games for today. So we'll finish it up and let her... What were your thoughts of your first experience here with Total War?
Well, it's definitely a little too complex for me.
So in the next Total War title that releases, would you rather see Toddler Total War for Little Heir, or would you rather see Soccer Mom Total War?
Soccer Mom.
So like SUV moms.
Yeah.
Driving around, throwing javelins out the windows.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so in any case, hope you all enjoyed it. Just wanted Mrs. Heir to join in for once. She is gracious enough to let me do a lot of recording, and some of you all may be like, hey, why are you letting her join in? Well, you know, I figured it'd be fun for her to take part and jump into a video, and you all get to meet another person behind the scenes here for Heir. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed it, and we will see you soon.
Bye, y'all.